The Prenatal to 3 State Policy Roadmap is a guide for state leaders to help them develop and implement the most effective policies and strategies that create a stronger and more equitable system of support for infants and toddlers and their parents. The science is clear. Children need to be raised in safe, stable, warm, nurturing environments, and state policy choices can help empower parents and promote these conditions. Based on comprehensive reviews of the most rigorous evidence available, the State Policy Roadmap identifies 5 effective policies and 6 effective strategies that help to create the conditions in which children thrive. In addition to providing guidance on what works, the roadmap monitors states' annual progress toward adopting and fully implementing these effective policies, and measures the well-being of infants and toddlers in each state. You can explore the U.S. Roadmap, which provides a summary of all states' progress and well-being, or explore any individual state, including the District of Columbia, by using the drop-down menu or clicking on the map. The U.S. Roadmap begins with a summary page. It shows the number of states that have fully implemented each of the effective policies, as well as the states that are leading the way in implementing the effective strategies. Scroll down to see how the 8 science-driven Prenatal to 3 policy goals align with the 5 effective roadmap policies and 6 effective strategies. Each column represents one of the 8 policy goals, and the shaded circles in each row indicate that the policy or strategy positively impacts that goal and enhances the well-being of infants, toddlers, and their parents. The framework also illustrates the outcome measures that are associated with each policy goal, which we are tracking over time. The summary page also provides a short definition of each of the effective policies and strategies, but detailed information for each of the 11 solutions is available in subsequent sections of the roadmap. In addition to providing information on what works, the State Policy Roadmap tracks states' progress toward adopting and implementing the effective policies. To date, 4 states have fully implemented all 5 of the roadmap policies, and another 15 states have implemented at least 3. Over time, the hope is that all states fully implement all 5 effective policies. The focus of this year's roadmap is on the progress states have made over the past year in implementing the effective policies and strategies. 5 states fully implemented at least one new policy this year: Florida, Massachusetts, Missouri, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. And Missouri implemented 2. In addition, the roadmap provides information on the legislative and administrative activity states engage in toward policy adoption. We know that policy change often takes time, and that progress is often made even if the policy is not fully implemented. Finally, the roadmap summary page shows how the opportunities and outcomes vary considerably for infants and toddlers across states. These measures help states to set priorities for where to begin to build a stronger and more equitable Prenatal to 3 system of support. More detailed information is available for each effective policy and strategy, and you can select the one that interests you. Each policy profile begins with a snapshot of the policy goals that it impacts, the states that have fully implemented the policy, and a brief summary of the progress states have made toward adopting the policy in the past year. Each profile also explains in detail what the policy is and why it is important for supporting the healthy development of infants and toddlers. Additionally, the profile provides specific examples of the impact that the policy has on each of the policy goals. As stated earlier, the focus of the roadmap is on the progress states are making toward adopting and fully implementing each policy. In each policy profile, we illustrate the progress states have made between last year and this year, and provide a thorough discussion of the legislative and administrative activity states engaged in over the past year as they work to adopt the effective policies. We also recognize that changes to state policies don't always happen quickly, and that some states will consider policy changes for several years before adopting them, or other states will adopt a policy but take time to implement it. We provide a summary of where states stand regarding fully implementing each policy. Finally, in each policy profile, We provide a series of indicators to illustrate the variation across states in the generosity and reach of the policy. For each effective strategy, we provide similar information. We begin with a snapshot of the goals the strategy impacts. Because the research for strategies does not yet provide clear guidance on how states should implement the strategy, we list a small group of states that we consider to be national leaders in the strategy, rather than providing information on which states have fully implemented it, as we do for policies. For example, the evidence is clear that child care subsidies impact maternal employment and facilitate the use of childcare. However, to date, the evidence does not provide clear guidance on the precise level of reimbursement rate or copayment level states should set to allow parents access to affordable, high-quality care. Thus, subsidies are currently considered a strategy rather than a policy. Similar to the policies, each strategy profile provides detailed information on what the strategy is, why it supports the healthy development of infants and toddlers, and the impact that it has on each of the prenatal to 3 policy goals. The roadmap also provides detailed information on how each of the state leaders are implementing the strategy, and discusses the policy choices states can make to more effectively implement and fund the strategy, and ensure that more children who are eligible for the services receive them. Again, the focus of this year's roadmap is on the progress that states have made this past year toward implementing effective solutions to strengthen the prenatal to 3 system of care. Therefore, each strategy profile shares detailed information on state progress. Finally, similar to the policy profiles, each strategy profile illustrates how the generosity and reach of the strategy varies across states. We invite you to explore over 100 indicators throughout the 11 profiles. You can also find detailed information on each of the outcome measures that are included in the roadmap. In the U.S. roadmap, the outcome measures are shown by race and ethnic group, and where possible, over a 5-year period, to allow for comparisons between groups and over time. The goal is to create a stronger and more equitable system of support for infants and toddlers, so we should see reductions in race and ethnic disparities in these measures as more states implement the roadmap policies and strategies. The final section of the roadmap provides information on the demographic characteristics of infants and toddlers and their parents. Where possible, the information is disaggregated by race and ethnicity. For detailed information on all of the data used in the roadmap and our sources, visit the Methods and Sources page. All of this information is provided in each of the state-specific roadmaps. However, the state roadmaps provide even more in-depth information on a particular state. The state summary page provides a snapshot of the policies that state has fully implemented, and indicates with a star the strategies on which the state is considered a leader. More detailed information on the legislative and regulatory actions the state took toward implementing each of the 5 policies and 6 strategies is also available in the state summary. And the state's outcome indicators are highlighted and ranked so that each state can measure how the well-being of infants and toddlers in the state compares to others across the country. The policy profiles also provide state-specific information, particularly on the state's progress toward adopting and fully implementing the policy. Similarly, for each strategy, the profile highlights the state's progress toward implementing the strategy effectively. The state's outcomes and demographic characteristics pages illustrate how the state compares to the U.S. The Prenatal to 3 State Policy Roadmap builds on the science of the developing child and identifies the 11 most effective investments that states can make to empower parents and foster the conditions in which children thrive from the start. This guide for state leaders also illustrates the progress that states are making toward implementing the effective solutions, and it allows state leaders to monitor the well-being of infants and toddlers over time.